Friday saw massive rallies take place in cities all over the world demanding action on climate change. The so-called Fridays for Future protests were sparked by 16-year-old Swedish activist Greta Thunberg. She's been urging politicians to listen to the scientists and take action to save the planet. Many scientists say there is overwhelming evidence to support that the Earth is slowly warming up with devastating effects, and yet there are still deniers who bring up other studies to refute climate change. Danielle Smith from Global News Radio 770 CHQR joins us to continue this conversation, and what a contentious one it is, Danielle. I know you're going to have a guest on today to try and explain what's true and what's not here.
Well, I'm really hoping that there's some common ground, because the debate is now becoming so polarized that I think each side is just tuning each other out. I mean, the climate activists who are arguing that human extinction is 10 years away unless we stop using fossil fuels altogether, they're not being reasonable either. That's misinformation too. And so for people who are looking for a reasonable solution and a reasonable plan of action, that's not offering it. So when you end up with that kind of extreme rhetoric, I think it opens the door to those who say, well, maybe we don't need to do anything about it at all. So I'm going to talk with John Cook today. He's a researcher in climate misinformation at George Mason University, and he's got a number of different categories that he identifies where the misinformation is being slotted into. And I'll see if there's going to be any kind of common ground we can get on this. It's such a polarizing issue every time I talk about it. If I bring on a climate activist who says we got to act quickly, I've got people saying, why aren't you showing the other side? I showed the other side. And people say, why are you putting on a skeptic? So it seems to me that if you get both sides talking to each other, you're most likely to find some common ground, and then you can move forward on that basis. And you look, for instance, at the plan that the Liberals announced last week. I mean, if we're all going to die in 10 years, why announce a plan that's going to transition us through to 2050? There's something wrong in the information that we're getting. Is it so urgent that we need to be completely off fossil fuels in 10 years? Or do we have time for a slower transition to 2050? And I don't think that the public has really good information on it. And it's because we're not getting the straight goods. So we're going to see if we can get some of that today.
And good luck with that conversation today, Danielle. It should be a good one. Danielle Smith, you can listen to her on the radio starting at 9:30 this morning on 770 CHQR.